Hi guys, welcome back to my Halloween reviews, and today we're going to be talking about Halloween H20 20 years later. Halloween H20 came out during the craze of the teen slasher movies of the late 90s, so it felt like that sort of style of horror movie, a late teens slasher movie. This movie ignores the events of Halloween 4, 5 and 6, and obviously it doesn't include Halloween 3. So the events of 4, 5 and 6 regarding the Thorn storyline and Jamie Lloyd, those didn't happen and those don't exist. So we move forward with a clean slate with Laurie Strode coming back, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. In this movie, Laurie Strode goes by a new name, Kerry Tate, and she's living in California with her son in a private secluded school. So that keeps her away from Haddonfield and it keeps Michael Myers from getting her. We don't know if Michael Myers died. With the events of Halloween 2, it seems like he may have burnt alive, but Dr. Loomis did survive because we find out that he's been taken care of by Marion Whittington, Marion from the original Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. So if he survived and they couldn't find Michael's body, there is a chance that he could have still been alive. So Kerry Tate, aka Laurie Strode, is living out her years wondering if Michael's going to come back, and it just so happens that Michael does come back this year on her son's 17th birthday, just like it was her 17th birthday, or she was 17 in the original Halloween. Now, like most teen slasher movies from the late 90s, this movie starts off just the same as those, with an opening scene before the credits roll, before the opening credits roll. And this scene is probably regarded as one of the best, if not the best scenes in the entire movie. The reason being is because Marion's back. She's one of the original characters, played by an original cast member. It's set in Haddonfield, which everybody loved because the movie doesn't take place in Haddonfield after this. So it's got a bit of originality to it. We do see Michael Myers back. It does seem kind of menacing. We see him driving a car at the end of that scene, which again is fantastic. It's got good actors in it that we don't see throughout the rest of the movie, which is a shame. What else? We've got, it's set at Halloween obviously. You've got Mr. Sandman playing in the background. You've got Donald Pleasence's, well, not Donald Pleasence, you've got Dr. Loomis's voice, played by a voice actor. So we get that kind of feeling of Halloween when we're watching this movie. We also see some kind of tidbits of Hellraiser and Friday the 13th. And as the detectives are talking about Michael Myers and the fascination that Dr. Loomis has with Michael Myers, they close the door, that Halloween music comes on. Again, it's John Ottman / Marco Beltrami music, so it's not quite John Carpenter, but you get that feel of Halloween within the opening credits of this movie. So it felt like this is going to be a great movie, but then it goes to California. Now, having it set in California, I'm torn. I don't like it being set in California. I'd rather it be set in Haddonfield, obviously, to continue with that Haddonfield Halloween theme. But unfortunately, back in the late 90s, they tried to get more realistic, and if Laurie Strode, for the sake of the storyline, Laurie Strode's obviously in hiding and she's got a new name, so it wouldn't make sense to have her change her name to Kerry Tate but live in Haddonfield. So it just makes no sense. So for the story, it makes perfect sense for it to be set in California, but for the Halloween fans and the die-hard Halloween fans, I think they would all prefer that it was set in Haddonfield. So maybe not give Laurie Strode a new identity, just assume that Michael Myers is dead, and then 20 years later he just pops up out of the blue, and have it set in Haddonfield. That might have been a better idea. Again, we don't know because that never happened. Another trend that happened back in the late 90s with horror movies is they always cast at least one rapper in a horror movie. I don't know if that was some sort of legal requirement, but in this movie we had LL Cool J. Now, I would say that LL Cool J, out of all the rappers that are in all the horror movies, I would say that he probably done the best job. I think he's a good actor, and I thought he was really good in Halloween H20. He was likeable as Ronnie. He had a little good one-liners in the movie, and he had good chemistry, even with his wife on the phone, who we'd never ever seen. I think that was that Jada Pinkett that played her? I can't remember, but he had good chemistry with her on the phone, and he had good chemistry with John and Kerry, aka Laurie. So I think that LL Cool J played a good part in the film, and I thought, for me anyway, is I didn't want him to die in the film. So if there's a character in this movie or any movie that you don't want to die, it means they're doing something right. Now, with regards to them having a son instead of a daughter in this film, again, it was the best idea possible. I personally hated, as you know, the Halloween 5 and 6 storyline with the Thorn. I did like Halloween 4, and I liked that Jamie Lloyd was Laurie Strode's mother, or Jamie Lloyd was Laurie Strode's daughter. But if they're getting rid of that storyline, then I would say that they would have had to have just got rid of a daughter completely, so that we don't have to think about, is that part of the Thorn trilogy or the Thorn 2 movies? I think it was the best idea just to get rid of that idea and just have a son instead. And it was a good idea because Josh Hartnett played a good son for Laurie Strode, and again, he was one of those likeable characters in the film. He was realistic. Josh Hartnett said it himself that they had a stylist out trying to style his hair, and they did style his hair just before they took the shots and before they filmed, and just before they clicked the camera to record, it would mess his hair up, because that's what a 17-year-old's hair looked like, and it still does. So you don't want that perfect haircut for a 17-year-old kid. He just wants it all messy. So he was a realistic son and a realistic character. Psycho is obviously one of the greatest horror movies of all time. In fact, probably one of the greatest movies of all time. And I think it was just fitting to have Janet Leigh in a movie with her daughter Jamie Lee Curtis. I think that was brilliant. And it was also a good little nod to Psycho when she was driving the car from Psycho as well. Again, just little things that they put into the movie that was great. Not only were they honouring the original Halloween, but they were honouring other horror movies. Now moving on to the score for this film, this is one of the biggest issues with this movie. I didn't have a problem with the Marco Beltrami score, and I also didn't have a problem with the John Ottman score. Now the John Ottman score was a little bit too orchestra for some people, and I think that they didn't have a lot of time to try and change it up, so they brought in Marco Beltrami, who they trusted, and he also was responsible for movies like The Faculty and Scream and stuff. So when you hear the final score, some of it's still John Ottman, but a lot of it's Marco Beltrami, but you do hear that kind of faculty and Scream within the movie, and that's maybe not a positive, because a lot of people are trying to associate the fact that Halloween H2O is just copying Scream, which we'll get onto in a minute. But yeah, it felt like more of a teen slasher with that final score. But again, I didn't have a problem with either of the score that I heard. I heard both of them and I thought both of them were good. Now let's move on to Michael Myers, played by Chris Durand. Chris Durand was a stuntman, and he was doing the stunts and the acting for Ghostface in the Scream movies. So it was a man that they trusted. They brought him on to play Michael Myers. It seemed like they didn't really take Michael Myers too seriously in this film. He wasn't an important factor in this movie. I think what they were focusing on was keeping Jamie Lee Curtis happy and building the character of Laurie Strode. So Michael Myers was kind of set in the background. He was just a stuntman and you would never see his face. That was an issue. However, a lot of people have issues with Chris Durand's walk, and they have an issue with Chris Durand's height. Now Chris Durand is 6'2". And people are saying he's too small to play Michael Myers. I mean, I find that bizarre because Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers, was 5'10". So if you think Nick Castle's tall and Chris Durand's small, then I don't know how you're working that out. Maybe it's his frame, I don't know. But I didn't have a problem with his height. I didn't have a problem with his walk either. He walked like a stuntman. So it was a generic Michael Myers, maybe that was the issue, but he walked faster than the usual Michael Myers. He walked faster than most Michael Myers in all the other movies. But this was a movie that came out in 1998. It was a fast-paced movie, a faster-paced movie than the original Halloween. So to have a slow-walking Michael Myers in a fast-paced movie, it just wouldn't work. So you have to get with the times. You have to make Michael Myers walk as fast as the movie, if that makes sense. If it was a slow burner, a slow movie, then yes, have a slow walking Michael Myers, but you have to balance it out. You have to balance both of them. So a faster paced Michael Myers fitted well with a faster paced Halloween movie, and I think overall he done a good job. So I have to say that Chris Durand was overall one of the best Michael Myers that I've seen in any other Halloween movie. Now the mask for this is probably the biggest issue that people have with the movie. I don't have a big issue with the mask, because most of you know that the mask is one of my favourite masks in the entire franchise. And I'm not talking about the CG mask and any other masks that were used in the film. I was talking about the main mask, the Stan Winston mask. Now, for those of you who don't know, Stan Winston is a master in this sort of stuff. So he was brought in to, and this was late on because they had a lot of issues with all the masks that they used. So he was brought in to finalise a better mask, and he did. And I think that mask was the best. Now the only issue I had with the mask, which most of you will have, is the eyes were too big. You can see his eyes too much. The eyes were a little bit big, and that means you could see his eyes more. But that doesn't mean all the other Halloween masks were better because you could see his eyes in every movie. Some of the movies that were out previous were darker movies, so it was harder to see his eyes. This movie was more lit Hollywood style, so it was easier to see his eyes. Maybe that was again another issue, but the mask itself, I think the mask was pretty good. Forget about the CG mask, forget about the 3 other masks that they used. This is the mask, and that was a really good mask. There's been a lot of iconic scenes throughout all the Halloween movies, even the rubbish Halloween movies, but I think 2 of the best scenes, not the 2 best scenes, but 2 of the best scenes in the entire franchise are in this movie. For good reason. There's a scene that's quite a long scene where Molly and John are being chased by Michael when they find the dead body, and they're running away from him, and they get into this little fence. You'll know what scene I'm talking about. And they get to a door that's locked, and the fence gate locks, but Molly drops the keys and Michael's trying to slash both of them. And it was quite an intense scene, but then as soon as Michael looked down and saw the keys and picked them up, again, I don't know if it was John Ottman's score or Marco Beltrami's rework, but I think that score and that whole scene was excellent. It was quite tense. As soon as he picked up the keys, the score came on and he was just about to get them. And then when John's mum came, Laurie came, and closed the door just in time and just looked at Michael in the eyes for the first time in 20 years, that gave me chills. And that's probably the best scene in all the Halloween movies for me. It's just waiting for 20 years and the look in her face, even the look in Michael's eyes. That was a good time to see Michael's eyes, but the look in both of their eyes to say that, oh my god, you're alive, and Michael looking at her saying, I found you finally after 20 years. It was very iconic. And obviously the last scene in this film was very iconic as well, because to me personally this was the end of the original storyline for Michael Myers and for Laurie Strode. She finally caught him and chopped his head off. Perfect ending, and that's it, done. There are rumours that Mustafa Akkad only allowed that storyline if he was able to bring Michael back again, whether it be through the dead body or through some sort of swapping bodies over like the paramedic in Halloween Resurrection. So that's a rumour. Not too sure how true that was, because there were a lot of issues with Halloween Resurrection's storyline, which we'll get into next week. So yeah, I'm not too sure how true that was, but the ending of Halloween H2 again is one of the most iconic scenes in the entire Halloween franchise. If you put it to 29 minutes into the movie when Will and Laurie are having drinks together in the cafe, if you look behind Will, you see actors in the background, and I swear these actors are the spitting image of Bob Shaye and Wes Craven. I don't know if that was intentional. At first I thought it was Bob Shaye and Wes Craven, and apparently it's not. But watch it, go back to 29 minutes, and the two of them having a conversation with each other. They're identical to both of them. Now, one of my biggest gripes for people who hate this movie is the fact that they think that it's just copying Scream. Now, yes, there's elements of this movie that lends itself to Scream, but I'll explain why they do that. Now, Halloween, the original, is one of the best movies of all time, the best horror movie of all time, and there's movies out there that copy it. That's fine. Now, Scream came out in 1996, and that brought back the slasher franchise. It brought back horror, and it made people identify. In fact, from the 90s, a lot of people hadn't seen Halloween, but they only saw Halloween because of Scream. So I think that Halloween, the Halloween franchise, has got Scream to thank for not making it a straight-to-DVD franchise anymore. Scream brought Halloween back. Jamie Lee Curtis got more interested in Halloween because of it, and they tried to design, Kevin Williamson tried to design a movie and a script similar to Scream. And we've got Scream to thank for bringing Halloween H2O, not just Jamie Lee Curtis, not just Steve Miner, not just Mustafa Akkad, but you've got Scream to thank for bringing Halloween back, bringing the franchise back. Without Scream, we might not even have had the new Halloween come out after 40 years after the original. So we don't know what would have happened without Scream. So yes, it's copying it in a way, but it still has Scream to thank for being a successful movie. Whether you liked it or not, it was a successful movie. Overall, Halloween H2O was a triumphant return for Michael Myers. It was a triumphant return for Laurie Strode after 20 years out of the franchise. So yeah, It got rid of all the gimmicks, it got rid of the supernatural element of Michael Myers, it got rid of the Thorn storyline, it got rid of everything that was bad about the Halloween franchise and brought it back to its roots. Even though it was only set in California, it brought it back to its roots of its meaning. I think the only thing missing for this movie, for me personally, was that it wasn't set in Haddonfield throughout the full movie. So what do you think of Halloween H2O, guys? This is one of the movies in the franchise that's like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And in my opinion, I absolutely love this movie. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.